Hello, everyone. Part of the RNE mission is to offer resources and support to the rare disease community. With so many resources available out there, it can sometimes be hard to navigate. So we wanted to highlight 4 organizations that are working to enhance the quality of life and care for rare disease patients and families. Today, we have Curtis Lueker from TeamTriumph, Alan Pender from Hole in the Wall Gang Camp, Seth Rothberg from our Odyssey, and Joan Bishop from Ole Foundation. Please leave any questions in the Q&A below, and the speakers will answer them at the end of this session. We'll start with Curtis Lueker. Curtis is the president and founder of TeamTriumph, Connecticut. TeamTriumph is an athletic ride-along program created for children, teens, adults, and veterans with disabilities who would normally not be able to participate and experience endurance events such as triathlons and road races. Thank you for being here with us today, Curtis. You can start your presentation.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Great to be here. First time presenting part of this conference, just really happy to be here and talk a little bit about TeamTriumph. So I'm the founder and president of TeamTriumph Connecticut. TeamTriumph is actually a national organization, volunteer organization, with about 20 some chapters across the United States. We started Connecticut chapter in 2017, late 2017, and started doing our first racing in 2018. So I'm going to play a short video. It's about 4 minutes, and it'll give you a pretty good overview of who we are, and then I can maybe provide some wrap-up comments. So this will go pretty quickly, but hopefully this isn't too repetitive. But if you go to our website, you'll see a lot about racing, endurance racing, and we use that term pretty liberally. So 5K runs, 10K runs, half marathons, marathons, triathlons. And for those of you that don't know what a triathlon is, sometimes I think we take that for granted. That is a racing event where you swim, you bike, and you run, and there are all sorts of different distances. There are really short ones and there are really long ones, including the Ironman, which is a really long event. So what we do is we work with people that have disabilities or unique abilities to get them into an endurance race and help them get through it. For the most part, many of our, we refer to them as captains. A person with a disability or unique ability can't get through the race on their own. And so we provide specialized racing chairs. We have inflatable rafts that we use for the swim. We have bikes that we attach to the racing chairs that can then be detached, and the chair can be used for the run portion of a triathlon. And so that's what you'll see on our website. But it's really not what the organization is about. What the organization is really about is inclusion. And we'll talk about that in the video in a little bit, that many of the families that we speak to who have a child or family member or a friend who has the inability to get through an endurance race often don't feel included in the community. We hear that all the time. And so that's really what the organization is about. It's about helping people and families feel included in the community. And the way we're doing it is really unique in that we're doing it through something called endurance racing, inspired by Dick and Rick Hoyt, who many people may know if you don't know them. I encourage you today to go on to Google Dick and Rick Hoyt. You'll see some really inspirational stories about them. So with that, I'm going to kick it over to our video, and I'll just wrap up with some final comments.
Well, what I've seen ever since Austin was born is people sometimes are fearful of the unknown. And TeamTriumph, again, brings people of all sorts, of all different walks of life. It's all around, everybody's getting something out of it. It's benefiting everybody.
MTT can really inspire people to just even if it's a small act of stepping to the side, just to live a little bit better life and just be a little bit more grateful for what they have and try and give a little bit more to their community.
I love the fact that this is like, you know, this community of people that's getting their kids out and moving and active. And it really means a lot to us to see that happen. The organization is another family. It's priceless for me to have someone that's giving her such an experience on a Saturday morning.
My Team Triumph is a national organization that helps people with disabilities feel included in the community. And the way that we do it is a unique way. We do it through endurance racing. Captain is a person with a disability. We have angels that are runners, swimmers, cyclists that help a captain get through the race as part of a team where the person with the disability as the captain is the leader.
It's an activity for her and not for us. Us. We're going to be outside. It's a high energy activity. My Team Triumph was going to be able to offer her that. It's not so much about her disability. It's about her abilities. What is she able to do?
We're really about inclusion, about helping the captains and their families fight the isolation that they face in a community like ours. It provides relationships that they build with the same angels and team members that they see race after race.
It's just added a special component to our lives that wasn't there. What it comes down to is we're all the same, really. You know, we're really not different. It's a real life way of people feeling like they are not different, that they are included like everybody else.
The energy of the volunteers, of the angels, brings her up. It lifts her up. You can see it on her face. And I think she's proud of it. She's really proud of it.
Raises awareness, you know, we're not invisible, we're out there, you know, the red shirts, the chairs, it's a big statement. We want to be seen, we want to be heard, and we want to be included.
TeamTriumph.
So for captains and their families, we know that isolation from the community is a real issue. We hear it all the time. And while we can't solve that issue, we can definitely make an impact. All right, so I hope that was helpful. That's My Team Triumph. Just a couple things to wrap up. There's no charge for any of this. We pay for all the expenses, the race entry fees. There's no fundraising requirement. So if you want to get involved in the organization, please go to our website. Just Google My Team Triumph Connecticut, and you'll find a lot of information. You can apply online to be a captain, which again is the person that's in charge of the team, that is the person with the disability or unique ability. If you want to be a runner in a race, or a swimmer or a cyclist in one of our triathlons, you can apply to be an angel. Sometimes that terminology gets a little confusing, so apologies for that, but just look on our site. You can read a lot about that. Just fill out the application. Someone will respond from our team within 24 hours. You know, we're covering the state of Connecticut, so we're looking to branch this out, certainly beyond Connecticut into the whole New England area. And you know, I hope this was helpful, and I look forward to taking some questions at the end.
Thank you so much, Curtis. Next up, we have Alan Pender. Alan is the current camp director at the Hole in the Wall Gang Camp. The camp provides free year-round programming for children with serious illnesses and their families. He worked at a sister camp in Ireland for 6 years and has worked at camps for children with serious illnesses for 15. Thank you for joining us today, Alan.
Thanks, Caroline, and thanks everyone. I'm really excited to be here. This is my first Rare New England conference, and I'm excited to share a little bit about the Hole in the Wall Gang Camp with all of you today. So just a little agenda, what I hope to cover in the next 10 minutes or so is a little bit about Hole in the Wall, its background, why and how it got started, who we serve, what programs we do offer to our children and our families, how do we do this, and then how do you get to camp? And there's my email below as well. So the Hole in the Wall Gang Camp was founded in 1988 by the late actor Paul Newman. So this was his idea, this vision he had to open up a camp. And it was the first camp to open in the United States that served children with serious illnesses. A lot of people said it couldn't be done safely. And he was persistent and persevered and made sure that this dream of his was going to happen. So we are located, our campsite is in Ashford, Connecticut. And what do we do? What are we all about? Essentially, our mission statement is that we are dedicated to providing a different kind of healing to seriously ill children and their families throughout the Northeast, free of charge. And it's a community that celebrates the fun, friendship, and spirit of childhood, where every kid can raise a little hell. And that was something Paul Newman said when he kind of kicked things off, that he wanted to create a space where these kids could raise a little hell. And then I put our 4 core values in there, and that's really all of our programs are centered around these core values of safety, camaraderie, appreciation, and possibility. And they're really kind of woven into every aspect of our program. When Paul Newman was asked, why did you want to do this? What made you kind of, think of this idea? He said that I wanted, I think, to acknowledge luck, the chance of it, the benevolence of it in my life, and the brutality of it in the lives of others, made especially savage for children because they may not be allowed the good fortune of a lifetime to correct it. So he wished he had this great epiphany and everything, but essentially it kind of all boiled down to luck and how lucky he was, and unfortunately some others are not, and that's what drove him. And then he opened the camp in 1988, and he went on to open 15 more of these kind of camps around the world as well. So he's left quite a legacy behind him. So here's a short 90-second clip, just a little drone footage of our site in Ashford, just to kind of give you a little overview what this site looks like in Ashford. So that was just a little glimpse into the site we have here in Ashford. So who do we serve? So we serve lots of families and children with the following diagnoses. So cancer, blood disorders, including sickle cell disease, hemophilia, aplastic anemia, rare diseases, all classified by the National Institute of Health, immunologic disorders such as HIV and CVID, metabolic disorders such as PKU and mitochondrial disease. So these are some of the disease groups that we do serve year round. So what programs do we offer? There are a couple of different programs. That video you just saw was of a 350-acre residential site in Ashford, Connecticut. We offer family weekends to serve the entire family during our spring and fall programs. So these weekends typically go from Friday to Sunday. Hopefully after this pandemic, we return to some kind of normalcy next year. So that's the plan. And we do have some rare disease specific weekends in the spring and fall, where we bring about 25 families to attend each of these residential weekends. We do have, and some of our weekends are really disease specific. And we found that this is really beneficial and really works because it helps kind of build that cohesive community. It starts to build like a network of support. You get to meet other families, maybe in similar situations to you, with a child with the same illness, the same disease. And so it's really helpful in building that kind of network from the ground up, and that support that doesn't only happen for those 48 hours at camp, but can be carried out, you know, once you leave the site as well. So these are disease specific weekends. We offer a ton of activities on our site. So if you think of a traditional summer program, this is no different really. The difference is that we can adapt and cater all of our activities to meet the needs of the children and the family as well, so they can participate and so nobody feels left out. And our programs are all designed really to increase confidence and to increase that self-esteem that may not be there or may have disappeared due to long absences from school or not being able to go to parties and those social interactions. So it's really kind of designed to kind of increase that confidence and self-esteem. And so this is our archery program. This is our over 50-foot kind of climbing tower. It's quite diverse. There's a couple of different ways to interact with our tower. And then on the picture on the right, you can see that double zip line. So you could zip down with a family member or a friend. And there is different ways to interact, like I said, and regardless of you know, what your level of ability is, or somebody said, like, you know, disability, we really focus on that ability. We can get everybody up to the top of that tower regardless of where they're at, and make sure that they can have that experience of kind of flying through the air, a 200-foot long zip line. So this is one of our most popular programs, and where we really kind of see a lot of our families and children step outside their comfort zone and really kind of push themselves a little. We have some fishing as well down at our boathouse, which is a very popular activity. You can see there on the left some quite big wide-mouthed bass fish in there. And then we have our music studio as well. So we really have activities to kind of cater to all of our campers, our children, our families' interest, where you could go in and record a song in our music studio and walk away with your own personal recording. We also have like an arts area. You might have saw in that video, that little downtown area, kind of Wild West kind of vibe. And this is where our arts and crafts and our wood shop is. So really kind of this creative zone where you can build all sorts of various woodshop projects. You can be creative in arts and crafts, with screen printing, with painting, with clay, all sorts of options, like I said, to kind of pique everybody's interest. We have a big theater on the left. So for those who are brave and want to sing a song in front of everybody, we do have a stage night on the weekends where you can get up and perform a talent, share a joke, a dance, anything like that, that's available. And we have a mini putt-putt course as well, as you can see on the right. And then, you know, depending on the season, we have some themed activities. So you see some hot cider there. It's a great place for kind of families to congregate and people to sit around and chat and kind of share some of their stories and some of their experiences. People think camp is just for children. That's not true. Hole in the Wall serves the parents too. And at camp, we believe in also taking care of the parents or caregivers so they can take care of their children. So we really believe that it's important that our parents really kind of look after themselves in order to kind of, you know, be there for their children. So during the weekend, we do offer very specific parent caregiver only activities. We have a caregiver cabin chat. where you kind of sit around and you're with a group of people who get it, who totally understand. When somebody starts talking about health insurance or the issues in school, you have people sitting in that circle who nod their head in agreement and know exactly what you're referring to. And so that's one of those activities. And then there are fun activities too, such as trivia. We've had like a 12-foot piñata where you could take out some of that frustration and beat it several times. And we have some game nights as well, specifically for our parents to interact and engage with. Outside of the site of Ashford, Connecticut, we do kind of bring programs outside of there too. And so we do have a hospital outreach program, and we kind of bring the joy and the fun of camp beyond the gates right to the hospital bed. So we do acknowledge that some of the kids that we serve at times may not be able to come to site due to spells of treatment or relapsing and different things like that. So we try to bring camp right to them. So we have 35 hospital specialists that visit 43 hospitals all over the Northeast, from Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, Rhode Island, Delaware, and Pennsylvania. And so they're kind of spreading that love and recruiting as well for that on-site programming. And then activities are adapted to each unique hospital setting. So whatever's going on in that hospital, they're able to adapt those activities. And then our newest program is called Camp Out. So again, bringing the spirit of camp in a van. You can see our Camp Out van there, right to the families' homes. So we do these prior to COVID, and hopefully next year, home visits. So we can bring all the camp, all the activities, all the fun right to your home, bring your favorite meal as well, and spend 3 hours in your home interacting, engaging, and providing a fun environment. We also kind of rent out spaces all over the Northeast and host kind of community events. Maybe it's a bowling alley, pool, a movie theater, a hall, and run our own programming there. So we'll do regional events where we'll invite everybody within a 70-mile radius of that event to come to our event. And again, that it serves the entire family. So how do we do this? So a lot of our families learn about camp through their healthcare provider, about 62%, 24%, as I said, from our hospital outreach specialists who are in those hospitals serving those kids, 11 from family and friends, kind of spreading word of mouth, 3% from camp's website, and definitely there's a certain amount of it that come from conferences like this as well. So how do you get to camp? So if you're interested in coming and spending a few days at the Hole in the Wall Gang camp, everything starts with an application, I think, like most things. And so there's two parts to our application. One is to be completed by the parents, and then one to be completed by your medical provider. And so once you submit that application, we have a year-round medical team that reviews the application, make sure we can safely care for your child and you at our program. And once approved, our admissions team kind of places them into our program, or sometimes on a wait list. We really strive not to wait list first-time families. And if families have maybe attended 2 or 3 times and there's new families coming in, there may be a waitlist system then, but we really try not to waitlist first-time families. And also, you know, if the family require help with transportation, we're happy to organize the logistics and the cost of getting to and from camp, whether that's a rental car, whether that's a bus, whatever that is. We'll definitely take care of all of that, of getting you to camp and from camp. And that's it. I had some questions there, and I know they're coming at the end, but thank you for listening, and hope you learned a little bit more about the Hole in the Wall Gang camp.
Thank you so much, Alan. Our next presenter is Seth Rothberg. In 2019, Seth co-founded the nonprofit Our Odyssey to connect young adults in the rare and chronic disease communities with social and emotional support. He has over 11 years of fundraising, advocacy, and volunteer experience within the health space. Thank you for joining us today, Seth.
Thank you again for having me. And, you know, it's always great to be back. I've had the opportunity to connect with Julie over the past years from Rare New England, and I was excited when she and the rest of the Rare New England crew, you know, reached out about how we can perhaps be a resource to those in the community. So I'm going to share my screen, share a little bit about our Odyssey, but really want to start kind of with my own story to give some people some background knowledge of kind of who I am and why our Odyssey was started in the first place. And so it really started because I come from a family impacted by a rare disease known as Huntington's disease. Huntington's disease is like having ALS, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's all into one condition. And it slowly deteriorates a person's physical and cognitive abilities. So it impacts someone's, ability to walk with poor balance, wobbly movements, slurred speech, more like these like drunk-like movements. It impacts their cognitive and psychiatric components. So lack of concentration or motivation or energy to do much, mood swings, behavioral issues. And my mom was diagnosed with this when I was about 15 years old. And what's challenging is that learning about it was one thing, but accepting it as a part of my life for the rest of my life was another whole process. And I felt, like I said in here, I felt alone. I felt isolated. I felt like, although I had my friends and family, no one really understood what I was going through because I had to try to adjust to a new normal. I saw, my friends' parents who looked, quote unquote normal. And then my mom was kind of different. And I was trying to accept it, but I was definitely in denial. I was embarrassed to be out in public with my mom because of those people, how they viewed her, how they saw her, or just not understanding. I was embarrassed having friends over. And I really just wanted to feel normal again. But with Huntington's disease, there's a 50-50 chance of inheriting it. And at the age of 20, I decided to go through genetic testing. I know we had some great resources earlier about genetic testing, and it is a very personal decision. I wanted to go through it because I'm a planner and I wanted to know what my future held. And so at the age of 20, found out I tested positive for this disease, which means I'm not symptomatic yet, but I'm guaranteed to get it. So in my mind, I am essentially racing against time. I am counting down the days when I might start showing symptoms like my mom. And my mom battled this disease for 17 years. And so you think about that, you see a loved one slowly lose their battle to a disease. And unfortunately, my mom passed away about 5 years ago. And seeing that and knowing I'm preparing for one day like that, unless there's an effective treatment or cure. So I've used my results to get more involved in the rare disease space. And, what I ended up doing was trying to find that community. And over the years, I was able to connect with young adults, not just in Huntington's disease, but from all these different rare and chronic communities. And it was great when I would first interact with another young adult and I didn't have to explain myself. We could talk about anything from sports to video games to cooking to, how to date to family planning, how to, navigate career planning, things like that. And I just started learning that there was a gap in supporting young adults. And when I think of young adults, I'm thinking 18 to 35 years old. And what I learned was, although there's a lot of support for children and older adults, there was still just this missing area. And so I started asking young adults, are you interested in connecting with others? Are you interested in this aspect of finding a community that you feel a part of? And after all these young adults were saying, yes, I would love this. And one young adult in particular said, this sounds great. Who's going to do it? Are you going to do this? I said, yeah, let's do it. Let's start something. And that's really where our Odyssey came about. It's actually a nonprofit that was founded in June of 2019. So we're still kind of in the baby infancy stages in my mind. But our mission is to connect young adults impacted by a rare chronic condition with social and emotional support in the hope of improving their quality of life. And our vision is to establish a national organization with a platform that empowers, educates, and connects young adults experiencing health challenges. And it was interesting. If you were to ask me if I would ever start a nonprofit, I would say no. I, went to school to get a master's in nonprofit management. And one of the first days of classes, they're saying, why you shouldn't start a nonprofit because there's so many out there. But when you find something that's unique and find that there's this unmet need that you're trying to help, then that's where you realize, let's, make something of this. And, our thing is not to take away these young adults from these patient advocacy organizations. I think our opportunity is to provide that program for young adults, to work with these patient advocacy organizations who are already doing a lot of work in their community, and take a little bit off of their plate and say, hey, let us help provide this year-round programming for young adults. Because from my experience and a lot of others, we'll go to a conference and we connect with others and it's very exciting, but then within 2 weeks or so going back home, you're just back to step one. And we wanted to say, how can we provide more year-round services? How can we make sure that we're connecting young adults more than just that one-off conference or event, so that they feel connected and they feel not alone in their battle. And so our kind of main programs are here. Again, the in-person meetups were prior to COVID, and we did pivot to more virtual meetups, which we're planning on doing either way. And so the in-person and virtual meetups, the reason why we call them meetups is because it's not just about the health condition, as mentioned before. It's really about a sense of belonging. It's about a way to network and socialize with your peers. And more importantly, when you hear support group as a young adult, it sounds intimidating, right? It sounds like you have to always just share your feelings, or you feel like something might be perhaps wrong with you, when in fact you're just looking to connect with others. And so we use the term meetups as a way to say, hey, come join us, come network, connect, have fun. And that's kind of where the in-person and virtual meetup aspects are. The topic-specific meetups we recently started doing, and those are specifically for the different unmet needs in the community. So as mentioned before, it's about college planning, navigating your career, dating, how to talk to friends, how to live positively. What does it mean to participate in a clinical trial or get your voice heard within your own space. And then the last part is amplifying the young adult voices through our monthly blogs, where we ask young adults to kind of share their story. And we're also looking to get young adults connected. I love to connect people just in general, and so this is a great way for myself and our Odyssey team to connect young adults to podcasts, to resources, to share their story and really amplify their voice. So to give you kind of a quick background on our 2020 programming plan, originally, prior to COVID, we're thinking, okay, let's do 10 in-person meetups. Let's do 4 virtual meetups, these being quarterly. Our in-person meetups, we're going to be in Boston, DC, Philly, New York. And, last year when we first started, we were in just Philly and DC. So we wanted to go to 2 more cities. And then of course, COVID came and we had to adjust and figure out, what do we do now? How do we make sure that we're still providing some type of support to young adults, especially knowing that it's isolating enough living with a health condition, and now you really can't do much because of the pandemic. And so in reality, what we ended up doing was we held 2 in-person meetups right before COVID. They were both in February, one in DC, one in Boston. We've really done at least once a week, but at the very least, virtual meetups. So we've done 32 virtual meetups. We've done 3 topic specific meetups, and then our monthly blogs. And it's been really cool to see this and to see how much we've grown within just the last year, and to really just understand the impact we're making. And I want to share just this quote that one of our young adults shared with us, which is, "This group has really opened my eyes in realizing that I'm not alone, but most importantly, that I don't have to be alone in this journey." And when you hear these quotes or these testimonials, it makes you realize the impact that you're having in the community. And to me, this is just another reason why we do the work we do, because we want to help young adults like Noah know that they aren't alone, know that there's other people out there who are going through something similarly. And if they can't find someone that's has the same condition that's near them, or just wants to connect with someone else about anything in life, they know that they can come to our Odyssey to find a community and find a place where they can join us in the fight against, the rare and chronic diseases that they face every day. And so here's kind of a little bit of, if you want to connect, I love to connect. I left my email address. Follow us on social media if you aren't already. Check out our website, and, really just reach out to learn how you can get involved and learn how, whether it's yourself or someone that's struggling out there, we're just a helping hand. I will say we aren't, and we always emphasize this in our meetups, we aren't, therapists or social workers, but we're just a peer support. And we're there to help them, get the right resources and support throughout their journey. And so let's continue to support the healthcare leaders of tomorrow, which are these young adults, and really help make a difference by giving them a place to connect with each other and really improve their quality of life. So that is a little bit about me, but I will pass it back on over to Caroline.
Thank you so much, Seth. Just a reminder to everyone, if you have any questions for Seth, Curtis, Alan, or Joan, just put them in the Q&A. And after Joan wraps up, we'll do a short Q&A session. Our next panelist is Joan Bishop from the Ole Foundation. Joan is the executive director and has been with Oley since 1985, serving in many different capacities. Ole Foundation strives to enrich the lives of those living with home intravenous nutrition and tube feeding through education, advocacy, and networking. Thank you for joining us today, Joan.
Well, I'd like to thank the organizers of this meeting, Joan, Mark Corson, and anyone else within Rare New England. I'm humbled beyond belief to be amongst the other nonprofit organizations here, but nonetheless excited to share information about the Ole Foundation, offering support, information, and hope. And I think all of our organizations offer hope to their members. So next slide, please. The Ole Foundation was established in 1983. I was then working for Dr. Lynn Howard, who managed her patients on these therapies. And one of the patients, Clarence Oldenburg, his parents or family had some money and decided that there was an unmet need, that being a lack of understanding about how Clarence lived. Friends found it frightening to visit. Family was a little overwhelmed, and Clarence's home looked more like a hospital room with, a very large pump hanging on an IV pole, tubes coming from here to there, and just left him a little more isolated than you'd like to think. We are based at Albany Medical Center. We were then, we still are. And we, upon opening the doors for the foundation's work, we inherited a mailing list of approximately 300 people. Next slide, please. Our mission is to enrich the lives of those dependent on parental and enteral nutrition through education, advocacy, and networking. Very similar to the other organizations we've heard from. Now, remember, we opened our doors, inherited a mailing list of around 300 people. Our current membership is 2,896 members as of early this week. They include adults, pediatrics, caregivers, family members, professionals, and members of industry. So that's remarkable growth. We're still kind of trying to adjust ourselves to it. But anyway, my disclaimer, next slide, please. I have nothing to disclose except that I've been working to enrich the lives of Ole members since 1983-84, and I've been classified as elderly. That's really sad. I think we can jump to 2 more slides to the thread that binds Ole members. Oh, there's some drama. Very good. So the thread that binds Oley members are the two therapies, home parenteral, which is intravenous nutrition, and enteral through a tube. And our success stems from providing opportunities for consumers to get more acquainted with their disorders, the therapies that sustain them, and to others who live similarly. And I think we've heard that message from the other nonprofit organizations. It just, ours is a little different in that we are more focused on the therapies that sustain our members. So the next slide, please. Our programs include a newsletter that passes along information, medical information, psychosocial, conferences and annual meetings such as this. We held a meeting in August. We attracted 577 people, which was wonderful. We were holding regional meetings. We now call them mini meetings. They're one-day meetings. And again, to bring people together, to learn, to connect, and to really feel as a participating member of an organization. We have Oley ambassadors. We have 60 at present. And these people are, well, we're using the face of Oley in their regions. And regions include the social media platforms and people who are willing to share, reach out and share with others. And I'm very pleased to say that because of some of our young adults, not me for sure, but young adults, Oley members, we have several activities that are in infancy to connect young adults with others. We have an equipment product exchange program, recognizing that people had supplies that they weren't using in their home for one reason or another. And there was a tremendous need for people who are underinsured or uninsured. And we have found a way to network the people with the products, with the people in need to exchange. So that's wonderful. We have a clearinghouse activities where patients, consumers, parents can reach out with any questions, looking for directions, and we're happy to provide that. We have a wonderful website that's just packed with information. It's really hard to organize it, but if you use the search function, you should be able to find what you need. We have webinars, which have been during this pandemic a wonderful way to push out more information and introduce people to topics that really should be able to help them. And then other products like market research search to bring the consumer's input into product development. We, along with the other organizations, do some advocacy work. We're looking forward to launching a clinician directory to help people recognize, identify some of the clinicians in programs, large intestinal failure programs that exist, and along with a glossary that helps people understand some of the terminology that is being used, and hopefully that brings them closer to the table with meeting with clinicians and involves them in some of the discussion and decision making. We also celebrate awareness weeks for each therapy. They can be found, nice videos can be found on our website. And I think the big thing that the Ole Foundation, as well as the other organizations that are showcased today, this afternoon, is that we offer hope, and in lots of different ways, whether you're someone who's seasoned, in our case, we have a woman who's been on parenteral nutrition, that's intravenous. Since I think 3 months after she graduated from nursing school, we celebrated her 50 years on therapy. Now, just her presence, just the sheer number next to her name has got to be the hope for parents, just learning that their child is going to need parenteral nutrition therapy. Kind of answers the question, well, how long can you live on this therapy? So that's the hope that deserves the red bold letters. So as with the other organizations, our efforts bridge the gap between medical. Oops, next slide. I keep forgetting that. Our efforts bridge the gap between medical and personal lives, and that's important. So we help to empower members to improve communication with their clinical team and to be involved in the decision making. We connect people who live similarly. That helps to remove the isolation and neutralize any stigma that could be associated with a disorder. We facilitate the voice of the consumers to those developing the newer improved products, home care companies, and that's via the market research. Next slide, please. So the value of Oley was measured, and we were so excited to finally have some outcome data. And in an NIH-funded study coordinated by Carol Smith and her colleagues, it was demonstrated that HBN, which is the parenteral nutrition consumer connected to the Ole Foundation, had better outcome, a significantly higher quality of life, less reactive depression, and a lower incidence of catheter-related sepsis. So, and it's pretty important to have that value measured. It was a very tough undertaking, and we applaud Dr. Carol Smith as just about on a weekly basis. Oley programs are free. Oley program services are free to consumers, the patients. CEs are offered to professionals at the annual conference with a very low registration fee. We offer complimentary exhibit space at our annual conference to nonprofits. That's a good reason to join Oley, to get on our mailing list so that you get that invitation. So, and we ask you to please link to our website from yours and send me an email, reach out anytime, and hopefully we can reciprocate that link. So thank you very much. Thank you again, Rare New England, Julie, Mark, and I'll field any questions through the chat function.
Thank you so much, Joan.
It's a pleasure.
All right, we are going to open up the panel for questions now. Let me. All right. This one is for Alan. What ages does Hole in the Wall Gang Camp serve? Do you have programs for teenagers or young adults?
Yes, so for our family weekends in the spring and fall that I spoke of, the age of the child with the diagnosis needs to be aged between 5 and 15. And then the second part of that, in terms of teenagers and young adults, the answer is like not always. However, we do have a Strides program, and it really is a kind of a case-by-case basis, and kind of involves a conversation with our medical team, and if we can safely serve, you know, that young adult or teenager, we will. So I know it's a little bit of a wishy-washy answer, but sometimes, I guess, yeah. But 5 to 15 for the family weekends.
Thank you. The next question is for Curtis. Does My Team Triumph provide support and resources to individuals who want to register for a race outside of the organization? Additionally, does My Team Triumph have any sort of a relationship with Ironman Foundation?
Yeah, so absolutely. So we're just all about having fun and taking a really relaxed approach to all of this. So whatever you want to do, reach out to us and let's figure out a way to get it done. So we'll loan out our chairs if you want to go do something on your own. We just want to make an impact. So whatever we can do to help, please don't be bashful. Just shoot us an email via our website, give us a call, and let's make it happen, honestly. And then you asked about Ironman. So yes, nothing formal with Ironman, but a couple of our chapters, in fact, Wisconsin and Michigan are some of our biggest chapters, our original chapters, have competed in a number of half Ironmans and full Ironman races. So for those of you that don't know, an Ironman, it's a 2.4 mile swim followed by a 112-mile bike, and it's a full marathon. And you have to do it all that same day, back to back to back. You don't get to take a day off and do another one in a week, or you do it all the same day. So, so we would love to do that at Connecticut. We have we've got people that are really interested in helping captains get through a race. So if anybody out there wants to do it, call us, text us, email us right away. We're ready. We're ready to do it. Let's start training and let's go have some fun.
It's awesome. What an attitude you've got, that we can do anything.
Sure.
I love it.
Let's go try it, right?
Our next question is for Alan. Are the various Hole in the Gang camps and venues connected? And do they all serve the same patient community?
So we are all connected in the sense that we fall under this umbrella of the Serious Fun Children's Network. So this network that oversees these 15 camps I spoke about, there's about 8 of them in the United States, and there is one in upstate New York as well. So we are connected in that sense that we're sister organizations. However, we don't all serve the same communities or diagnoses. Each camp does serve different, some overlap, but some different and unique to other camps as well. So what I suggest is going on the Serious Fun Children's Network website, and then you can see all the camps that fall under that umbrella. That'll bring you right to their website, and you'll be able to find out exactly what communities they serve.
Awesome, thanks. Next question is for Seth. What are some of the biggest challenges and topics you hear come up in your discussions with young adults with rare and chronic diseases?
Great question, and it's a tough one because there's just a lot, and it's good thing and bad thing, right? It means one is that they're willing to share with us that there's these unmet needs in the community, but the challenge is how do we make sure that they are being given the proper care. So one of the biggest ones is mental health, which is I just think a big problem in the US, to be honest, and that's for a whole nother topic, so I won't dive deeper into it, but getting access to affordable mental health I think is a big thing. Self-advocacy with medical professionals, so being like believed. A lot of young people unfortunately are not necessarily being believed that they're sick or that something's wrong, and so that's a challenge. Access to treatments and medications, access to proper care, and navigating college and career as well. So there's a lot, and I mean, we're just there to help. We've learned that there's a lot of great resources out there, but we're trying to make them more geared towards young adults. So some of these we're going to hopefully try to address through our topic-specific meetups. We're bringing a young adult to share their experience and hopefully help guide a good conversation about these.
Awesome, thank you, Seth. Another question for Alan. Can individuals needing respiratory support be accommodated at camp?
Yeah, the answer is yes. Yeah, we have had individuals using CPAP and BiPAP machines in the past, and we can, if that's what the person is referring to, yes.
Okay. Another comment, it's a comment and question. Thank you all so much for sharing. These are all fabulous resources. What is each of your favorite thing about serving those in the rare disease community? Start with Joan, if you want.
Oh, thanks a lot. What's the favorite thing? I think the ability to impact people is my favorite thing. I mean, it's almost instant once they have a better understanding of their situation and the therapy that sustains them. You offer them that hope. It's instant comfort. And with connecting people with each other, it's the most powerful thing that you can do. It's instant. That's it.
Seth, do you want to go next?
Sure. I mean, I agree 100% with Joan, right? Is being able to connect people. And I love doing that. I call myself a community connector for that reason, because I want to help people along their journey and meet them where they are and really make sure that they can be connected to another person or a resource that's going to help improve their quality of life or just improve that day. I think that's the one thing is there's so, taking things a day at a time and understanding that, we can do a lot with just such little resources at times. And so I get inspired by a lot of these young adults when I hear their stories. I mean, that's what keeps me going, gives me hope, and makes me want to do better day after day.
Curtis?
Yeah, same theme. I agree with Joan and Seth. When we started our chapter, we had no idea what we were getting into. We thought we were going to help someone get through a race and they were going to get so much enjoyment out of it. But we had no idea how much it was going to impact the family, and to see families see their child or family member be part of a team for the first time in their life, and maybe be a captain for the first time in their life. Like we didn't know that was going to happen. And so parents are crying with tears of joy as their kid comes across the line. Maybe they get out of the chair and run across the last few yards or whatever on their own. But then the domino effect throughout the community and seeing our runners that come, how it's changed their lives, how the relationships that they've developed. We've really created this big family and continue to just kind of snowball it, domino effect. And then people that come to a race that are there to run or cheer on someone else, they have no idea what we're doing, but they come up often and say, what are you guys doing? What is this organization? What are all these chairs that you have here? And I think it's opening people's eyes. It's making them think differently about life, making them maybe a little more appreciative of things that they have in their life. It's again, we didn't really think so much about inclusion when we first started this organization, but it became very clear to us that that was the mission. And so that's what we're making an impact. And that's what we really love.
Alan, you are up next.
Yeah, I think for me, it's bringing these 25 families together for 48 hours and putting them in the same place. And I think there's an element of the programming that eliminates some of that feeling of isolation, I guess, that maybe you're not on your own. And I mentioned these like caregiver cabin chats where we bring all the parents and caregivers in the same room as one activity. And it starts off by people going around sharing their name and the diagnosis of their child. And we literally had people share the diagnosis of their child and somebody across the room say, oh my gosh, I've never met another family who has this, dealing with this condition. And I think that's just really powerful. So I think it's really just bringing people together and creating that community. And I think in talking to our rare disease community virtually over the last couple of months, there's a common theme that this pandemic is really giving us a feel for what they actually experience more regularly, I guess, so I think, hopefully once we get through all of this and we can have in-person programming, that I will have a greater understanding and appreciation of what maybe they experience more regularly now. So, yeah.
Thanks, Alan. We have one more comment. I know we're running a little over for time. I have an idea for after COVID, a 5K race held at Hole in the Wall for the benefit of Oley's community and staff of our Odyssey. Who's in?
I mean,
Let's connect.
great idea, Kevin.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap this up now. Thanks to all of our panelists for joining us today and sharing these valuable resources. This really has been a pleasure hosting this session. And thank you to everyone who's watching. We're going to go ahead and head into closing remarks and announcements. So that is the end of this session. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Carolyn. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.